Hi everybody, Xavion Murphy here, talking about fibromyalgia today. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a blessed day. Wanted to talk about a few topics today that have been heavy on my mind. Been checking out support groups for fibromyalgia, and there's a common theme that seems to be running through today. But I also wanted to talk quickly about the labyrinth and the maze and the tunnel that we go through when we're trying to look for some kind of comfort or relief from fibromyalgia. When we go out onto the internet and we start searching on YouTube and Google and going into these chat rooms and going into these support groups, it just seems like it's an incredibly long, dark tunnel that we have to dig ourselves out of. I don't know about you, but I find that I just get more confused and more frustrated when I start looking for comfort and relief. And then I start reading about what everybody else is suffering, how they're suffering and what they're suffering from or with, and I get really, really sad. So I haven't posted in about a week. Had a rough week, and I just felt, because I want to focus on hope, that y'all don't need to hear about my struggles. I'm here to talk to you about hope and about increasing your quality of life if you have fibromyalgia or you're suffering from a chronic illness. So I'm wishing you peace and comfort today, and I want to get started by telling you that what is playing in the background is, I think it's for 963 hertz solfeggio frequency. There's a lot of history behind listening to this music, but basically it's an ancient 6-tone scale whose root is the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Has been used in sacred music, including Gregorian chants. It's believed that it brings spiritual blessings and balance of the mind and body and spirit. It's super, super important for us when we're trying to get centered and grounded and focused. I will tell you briefly that I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2015 and have come a long way since my diagnosis. And I'm living a decent quality of life right now, but I did come to the realization this past week, after kind of a trauma, another huge trauma, which is why I haven't posted, that I am going to try to begin the process. I think I'm going to try to begin the process of applying for a disability for fibromyalgia. It's a huge milestone for me. I came to acceptance of how debilitating my illness is, and I wanted to apologize to everyone, because in the last 4 videos, or my first 4 videos, I think I've sounded a lot like a cheerleader, and like, yay, we can overcome this, and I'm sorry that you're suffering, but I had this terrible thing, and now I'm beating it. I wanted to be the poster child for beating fibromyalgia. I acknowledge now that I have been in denial. I've had it for 4 years, and I've come to the conclusion that I have been in denial about it. I do have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and I've been fighting it, trying to be normal, quote unquote normal, right? Trying to get back to my normal life. My normal life is gone. So anyway, there's a confession for you today. It's February 10th, 2019. So real quick, wanted to talk about a couple of things today. We're going to talk about blurred vision, insomnia, and sleep, medications real quick, budgeting our priorities, and the power of will and hope and quality of life. So I've been up pretty much all week. I'm up at, I go to bed between 6 and 8 p.m. I don't have any medication. I'm not on any prescription medications. I weaned myself off of them, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So I have this little ritual that I follow, and I get to sleep fairly well, but then I'm up about 2 a.m. So it's been pretty much all week long. I've been up at 2 in the morning, wide awake, mostly anxiety. And I decided that instead of laying awake and trying to force myself back to sleep, I just get up, make myself a cup of tea, maybe have a little something to eat, just something light. It's hard to sleep on an empty stomach. I don't know if you've experienced that too, but and then I do prayers, I do meditation. I try to kind of find my center and get focused and deal with whatever it is that's causing me the anxiety. And so I ended up falling asleep about 5 o'clock. I rolled over about 5 o'clock and I slept until 8. So it's a good thing to have a weekend to be able to do that. But when you're working, if you're lucky enough to be working, it's difficult when you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're laying awake for 3 or 4 hours, and you have to turn around and get up at 6. So anyway, that's just one of the road bumps, and I just wanted to share with you that if this is happening to you, it's not unusual and you're in good company. I was reading today and listening to a lot of people talk about medications that they're on, newly diagnosed fibromyalgians, what medication works, what doesn't. So there's just so much out there, you guys, and I just feel so bad for you if you're just newly diagnosed, because it's so hard to listen, and you're going to ask for advice and you're going to get it, right? And you're going to get it in droves, and people are going to be saying, yes, do it, no, do it, try this, don't try that, this worked for me, this worked for me, this didn't work for me. So I guess I'm just going to address it then. I started off with, after my diagnosis, taking Lexapro, and it was a disaster for me. It was a disaster. I had suicidal thoughts. I had nightmares. I could not get used to it. I remember the doctor saying, as with the next prescription, that when you're taking a medication that alters your brain chemistry, that you are going to have these side effects. And I could not tolerate it. I just thought, this is wrong. I can't be living life like this. So I asked for a new prescription, and I was taking Cymbalta. And I took that for maybe about 6 months, but I didn't like that feeling at all either. I felt that it did not take away the pain. It did not take away the symptoms. It just made me not care about them so much. I felt like a zombie. I felt like I was numb, like I had cotton in my brain. Talk about fuzzy thinking. I mean, you have fuzzy thinking with fibromyalgia, but this is just beyond fuzzy. So I didn't like it, and I don't do this. I'm just going to give you this caveat right now. Don't do this. You're never supposed to do this. You're never supposed to self-wean. If you want to wean yourself off of medication that you've been taking for a while, do it under doctor's care and doctor's advice. But I weaned myself off of Cymbalta. It took me about 6 weeks to do it. I was in the middle of a divorce. I was living in the camper that was parked in my driveway and in my car, in and out of my car, while I was going through the divorce and weaning myself off of Cymbalta. Not the way to go. I don't recommend it. I don't advise it, but I'm just telling you, I'm just being real, and I'm telling you what worked for me. I'm not on prescription medication anymore for fibromyalgia, and I'm living a fairly decent quality of life, but it hasn't been easy. It hasn't come easy. A lot of people are talking about budgeting their priorities. Someone out there has a brilliant page called The Spoon Theory. I'm sorry, I can't tell you what it is right now, but I think if you Google it, you'll find it. She has a beautiful blog about the spoon theory. Basically, the story is that you take a handful of spoons, and then you make a list of all the things that you have to do every single day, like every single thing that you have to accomplish that day, and you assign one spoon for that job. And when you are out of spoons, that's it, you're done. So it's a good illustration of what fibromyalgia is realistically and concretely to someone who doesn't understand. So if you have a spouse or family members that don't understand it, you might want to try that. So check it out. It's called The Spoon Theory, and it's available. You can find it on, if you just Google it. I spoke in my last video about taking showers and how initially when I was diagnosed, I could not even imagine taking a shower because of the energy required to undress and to get into the shower, to turn the knob on the shower to get the water on, my hands, I had no strength in my hands. And then to stand in the shower and lather up and then rinse off and then dry off and then use a towel to dry off that weighed 25 pounds. It was just like, that was, speaking of spoon theory, that was all my spoons in one day. That was all my spoons. That's all that I had left. So I would not take a shower. I would take a little cat bath most of the time, and on an exceptional day, I might take a shower if I had to do something that was important, that I looked like I had showered and smelled like I had showered. I would shower. So don't feel badly if you're struggling with that. That's common. There are other ways to stay clean, okay? So just don't take the shower and don't stress about it. Just don't take the shower. Just clean yourself up, and, you know, so you feel good and smell good, and if you can, and don't worry about the shower, okay? So let's put that to bed. Most importantly, and I'll finish up now, most importantly, what I wanted to tell you is that there are amazing stories out there that are about people who have accomplished great things because of their will. And I'm not here to say that you shouldn't be under a doctor's care, you shouldn't take medication, and you shouldn't acknowledge that you have fibromyalgia. Don't be in denial like me, okay? But the power of your will, the power of your mind to overcome is going to be your key for a good quality of life. I was reading a woman who reached out on the fibromyalgia support group page, and bless her heart, her husband became ill. She has fibromyalgia. They had snow. She had to go out and shovel the walk and shovel the driveway and do all the things that her husband had to do. I think she's on disability. She had limited income, and she was looking for some good recipes for nutritious food to support someone with fibromyalgia. And the caveat there was that she didn't have any teeth. So she was looking for recipes that were, you know, more liquid and didn't have a lot of heavy texture, something that didn't have to be chewed. And the response was so beautiful. So many people were out there suggesting finding protein shakes, peanut butter, or even if you need protein and you're a meat eater, to just grind the meat after, you know, you can do ground chicken, ground beef, so you don't have to chew it. Just beautiful, beautiful support out there. So there is good support out there, but I want to bring you just a few little snippets of happiness and hope when I do these videos. And so that's my suggestion to you today, is just make sure that you're taking care of yourself in your spirit first, okay? So set yourself up for a good outcome by maintaining a good spirit. Nurture your spirit. Convince yourself that you will accomplish whatever tiny little task that you can accomplish. Set yourself up for it, okay? And applaud yourself, and treat yourself well, and love yourself first. Take care of yourself first, okay? So you can't drink from an empty cup, and you can't pour from an empty pitcher. You must nurture yourself and support yourself and care for yourself. Many of us are on our own. We don't have spouses. We don't have, we're not living with anybody who can care for us, and we're still trying to maintain a good quality of life. So it can be done. I just want to give you that hopeful message today. I hope you are enjoying watching our birds here on the feeder. This is what brings me joy. You know, we get a lot more back by giving than we do by taking, and to me, it's just become a thing. It's a ritual. I feed the birds, and then they come back and they take the food and they bring me joy. So little things like that are so helpful in keeping your spirits up. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. I love you. I'm sending you comfort and wishes for peace. And I didn't even talk about blurred vision. Okay, I'll talk about that another time. I'm wishing you a good day, and I hope you find comfort and peace in today and joy in today. It's all we have. Today is all we have. Okay? Love you. Be well. Talk to you soon.